So this is map number 1 of this best of 3. Spawning up in the top right hand position, representing Mousesports, none other than HasuObs. And his opponent down to the lower left, the blue Terran player, representing ESC, we have GoOdy. So, GoOdy versus HasuObs. What kind of excitingly fun things are we going to be getting into here? Well, all in all, this is looking to be a very normal game for the start. No sign of any proxies. Proxy 2 racks from GoOdy would be the most insane thing. GoOdy, of course, known for his very heavy mech style play. Should actually still be able to mech up against HasuObs despite him being a Protoss. The key to meching against Protoss is make sure you get yourself some ghosts. You need those EMPs. You need those EMPs so much if you're going mech up against Protoss. So just do it. Do it every time. GoOdy's starting up his barracks a little way back. Meanwhile, HasuObs advancing forward after starting up his gateway. So he's going to get some scouting information down here. Going to be keeping a good look on everything that's coming through. Not too much to see from GoOdy. GoOdy just 1 racks, 1 refinery. Probably going to be getting a couple of Reapers out. It is the main way you'll open up any series against a Protoss player as a Terran. It works quite nice. Just 1 Reaper is usually quite good. Alternate things we may be seeing are some very fast Widowmine, maybe Widowmine drops. Reapers aren't guaranteed, actually. Widowmine drops are really strong. So is a couple of Hellions coming in the front. Big drop of Marines into the main base. That usually works quite solid. So waiting to see what comes down here. Just 1 Reaper is going to be on the cards now from GoOdy. So probably won't see 2. Generally you don't. Generally it's just the 1 for scouting. Although now I've said that, I could get proved wrong. I'm accepting of that though, because if I get proved wrong, it's quite cool. It's a learning opportunity where you should always look at it. Meanwhile, HasuObs just coming through. Looking to go and try and take his natural. Hiding it from that SCV. Doesn't want the SCV seeing it. Doesn't want the SCV trying to block it. Especially because there has been the Zealot skipped. The Cybercore is going to be first thing coming through. But down comes that natural Nexus. Should be a Stalker out first. And the Stalker is going to do a good job of trying to stop the Reaper. As it does come, jetpacking its way across the map. Natural base for GoOdy's. Also on the card, he's adding in the reactor to that barracks. No, it's still only the 1 Reaper. Not going too crazy yet. Not enough gas to start factory either, so shouldn't be seeing that anytime soon. Just this 1 Reaper at the moment. The Mothership Core, though, going to be able to force it away, and this is why you don't tend to see more than 1 Reaper, because the Mothership Core, the Stalkers, they're able to stop them very simply, very easily. So it's no point getting more than 1 out. Just the 1 at the moment, though. It can look to be a little bit of poking, a little bit of prodding, trying to get that damage out where at all possible. But all in all, just moving forward, just keeping a check on things. In it goes. Alright, what's going on here then? Doesn't see too much exciting. And GoOdy behind this, actually adding in a 3rd CC very early on. Just getting the reactor down onto that barracks in order to start pumping a few Marines. The other composition, or the other style of this being played is, of course, you can get down an additional couple of barracks early on rather than the reactor, saving a bit of gas and still go for that 3rd CC and get the same Marine production. But it does delay the 3rd CC a little bit. That 3rd, so early by GoOdy. That was 4 minutes 50 odd. That's insanely quick. So he's got to make sure that he's able to defend that. He's checking around everywhere to make sure that there isn't any sign of a proxy Stargate. No Oracle is going to be sneaking on by, dealing damage that he can't protect because he's only got the 4 Marines at the moment. HasuObs, though, he's just busy sitting here, adding in the robotics facility. Should be going for a relatively quick tech up into Colossus. Generally, you'll see that quite often up against a Terran player. The only other thing is if HasuObs does try to metagame GoOdy a little bit, knowing that GoOdy is, of course, the mech master. And just goes, oh, well, he's going to be going for mech in the end, so I'll just start my immortal production now, because I'm going to need it eventually, of course. Starport coming through. Should be a tank coming out of this factory, assuming it's going to be used for that and we don't get any switches. I'm assuming. We're still waiting. We'll come back to that. We'll check on it later. Yeah, it is a tank. As soon as I clicked away, I knew that happened. So tank coming through. A couple of additional gateways on the way for HasuObs, as well as that forge. So going very heavy in terms of his overall late game strategy. Going for these gates before the forge is slightly safer, but you do see some players opt for, say, the one gate, the forge, the robo, first and then add in additional production. Pretty much the greediest way you can go for things, but we'll keep an eye on this for the moment. A couple of assimilators in the mix. We've also got the tank just staying up on the high ground here, wanting to get a few shots off, wanting to get a little bit of damage down if possible. Nothing really looking to move in that's a serious threat, just a couple of stalkers, and they aren't threatening really in the slightest. Even that bunker there on its own is enough to deter further prodding. I don't believe that HasuObs has yet seen the third CC. No, he hasn't. He does have an observer coming in, but a little away from the side in case there was any form of detection up at the front here. Sneaking on through, he's going to see the fact that, alright, there's the factory, there's the tech lab, sees the third CC. Only thing he doesn't spot, unfortunately, is, of course, the starport. That means drops could catch him a little off guard. We've also got the Viking coming on through, so that's going to be useful if we do see more Colossus coming out. But HasuObs, no, he's full on meta gaming goody at the moment. He's like, you're going to make tanks. I know it. I know you're going to make them, so I'm just going to start my immortal production now. And you can just deal with that. He's also getting down the Twilight Council. And well, the Twilight Council coming on in is perfectly normal. +2 should be coming off the back of that, with the third Nexus also coming through from HasuObs, so approaching the 10-minute mark. Very little in the way of action in terms of losses. It's only a bit on Goody's side, and that is 1 Reaper and 1 SCV going down, so absolutely minor amounts overall. Goody now, chilling here, just waiting patiently. And well, this is Goody's style of play. Turtle up, build missile turrets, and wait. Wait until your opponent just can't bear it anymore, attacks you, loses all his army, and then stroll over the map to victory. Mecha fan, if you like mech, you have definitely come to the right place with Goody. I know there's like a delay on stream, so you won't hear this for a couple of minutes, but it's so true. That is what Goody does. See these factories, they're meching it up. Good number of Hellions actually coming through. With the armory being produced though, we'll be able to morph those into Hellbats. Gonna go for the triple tech lab starport, so this could be a lot of Banshee, and later on it could also be some Ravens. That could be really late game. Forward now come Goody's units. He's just getting in a position where he's going to be able to defend this third base. He's going to want to situate some tanks around here, form a big long line of tanks, so he can also defend this right-hand vicinity as well. Both players are going to be setting up on 3 bases shortly. We've got Cloak coming down for these Banshee too. +1 and also Infernal Pre-Igniter coming down for the mech upgrades. Importantly, HasuObs seeing most of this. What he hasn't seen though is these 2 additional starports yet. So if he did scout those, it would be very important to see. Yeah, more missile turrets just coming in. This is of course the Goody approach. Get missile turrets down, defend against any sneaky DTs, anything else that could be coming on in. Still, good amounts of time. Still on its way. More Immortals still being produced. A Warp Prism also coming down. Immortal drops could be utilized to some extent. Could be trying to get some more damage done. A lot more Banshee still in production. The Banshee count actually getting pretty high. Going to be a 5 after this production cycle, with still more on the way. HasuObs though advancing forward with his mass immortal army, mech killing army. Wouldn't be in the worst spot engaging upon this, but just needs to be a bit careful of the Banshee because he does only have a couple of Stalkers, remember, so not much there. And also only the 1 Observer, so if that were to die, he'd have no detection up against these Cloak Banshee, and they can dish out a lot of damage very quickly. Couple more Zealots coming across. They're going to help. They're going to be the front line, soak up the damage, while the rest of the army hopefully dishes it out. One Elucidated Phoenix is taking a little peek, wants to know what kind of army composition is here, how much is here, and whether actually HasuObs is going to be able to take the fight. HasuObs positioning on the right hand side, blinks forward very bravely, wants to take out that missile turret if possible, wants to make sure that his Observer is able to get in here safely. The Observer actually not being brought with the army though, so this could be a problem with the Cloak having been researched. Those Banshee now cannot be stopped. They're just going to start shelling away. Good damage coming through. The Immortals leading the front of the charge. Their Hardened Shield of course reduces the damage in the siege tanks while it stands. The Banshee, unfortunately, though, very effective at taking down all of this. And Goody advancing on forward. HasuObs not prepared for this many Banshee. His Observer's still just chilling at the back here. He's dropped into the main base simultaneously with a lot of Zealots, so he's getting a good amount of harassment down in exchange for this. But GoOdy chasing down the majority of the army of HasuObs, picking it apart very quickly. The Banshee count is already up at 8. That is very, very bad times for HasuObs. That is so many Banshee. They're just vaporizing through all of these Immortals. The Siege Tank's also pushing forward, getting a good bit of damage down. The Zealots in the main have been cleaned up, so this push forward from GoOdy is very, very potent as a whole. 15 minutes through the game, and still this mech force advancing. It's at 150 supply overall to the 93 of HasuObs, and GoOdy in a very dominating position at the moment. A few more Immortals trying to be produced, but in the way of anti-air and just defensive units, there's very little here. Just one War Prism attempting to get some more Warpins, but will get shot down by a couple of Vikings, preventing it from getting any further work done. GoOdy is now in an exceptionally strong position. He's going to be looking to advance upon this third base, edging on forward. The Banshee going to be cloaking up, trying to minimize any damage taken. There are a couple of photon cannons which will grant vision, but for the most part, the Banshee just chipping away at anything they can find. A couple of tanks get taken down by the Zealots, but the Banshee's still alive, working through that photon cannon now. They dish out a lot of damage in such high numbers. Every volley really hurting, especially the +1 attack upgrade for mech. That includes air, of course. A lot of Blue Flame Hellbats shredding through those probes. 16 killed there. That was a big loss. The third Nexus of HasuObs taking significant amounts of damage. It's starting to look a little bit painful now for the Protoss player, who's scrambling to try and get some army together, but at 183 supply to 103, it's going to need a bit more than a scramble of units. It needs an army to stop this of GoOdy. Advancing forward, this mass Banshee play, incredibly potent. He's focusing the photon cannons to get rid of the detection. Of course, there is still that Observer there, but GoOdy not too worried about that as a whole. That Immortal soaking up a good bit of damage. The second one is going to pop out. That's going to help up against these Hellbats. It's dishing out some nice damage, but remember, Hellbats are light, so they don't take bonus damage from Immortals. Only do 24 damage rather than the 60. Regardless, though, natural base of HasuObs has been taken out. A couple of drops trying to counter this, but with the tanks in such a strong position, despite the blink forward, this is a dire spot for HasuObs. Losing those remaining Stalkers, only a couple of HP remaining on each one. This is a very, very bad spot. GG is called, and GoOdy is going to take game number 1 of this best of 3.